Hello, welcome back to Learn Economy. You all know, we are actually on a series which discusses the two different subjects in economics for class 12. So we have conducted classes for Introductory Macroeconomics first chapter and Introductory Microeconomics first chapter. Now I'm starting a session regarding the chapter 2 of Introductory Microeconomics, which is titled as a theory of consumer behavior. After going through the chapter, I could see that the chapter is a very lengthy chapter. So what I've done is that instead of considering the whole chapter in a single video, I have subdivided the chapter into different segments, and I have taken the first part of that in this video, and today we would be discussing the first part of the theory of consumer behavior. Okay, so in the first section itself, in the text, it is told about utility aspect, and we have to see what is utility all about. And this is a very important concept that you have to understand, and we will be using the concept of utility throughout this chapter. We know that we consume commodities so as to attain so as to attain some benefit out of it, right? And every commodity would be having some or the other uses, and which it would get satisfied if we consume the commodity. And a consumer, he would be demanding a certain commodity on the basis of the utility that he derives from that commodity. And what is utility all about? We know that every commodity would be having certain uses. For example, why do we drink water? We drink water because we know that the water has the ability to quench our thirst. And why do we take food? Why do we have food? We know that food has the ability to satisfy our hunger. And why do we use a pen? Because it is for writing. Why do we use a book? It is again for writing. So every commodity would be having some of the other uses, right? And the want satisfying power of a commodity, this is what is known as the utility of that commodity. Okay, and it is believed that if you consume more of commodity, or the stronger the desire to have more of the commodity, in that case you will be getting more utility from consuming that commodity. That is what is believed from a general perspective, because every rational consumer would be trying his or her level best in order to increase the satisfaction that he or she would be getting from the consumption of a commodity. But remember, utility is a subjective concept. That means that just by consuming one commodity, the utility that you derive might not be equal to the utility that I derive. It depends upon the likes and dislikes of different people. This is because my likes is it is something which is exactly different from your likes. My dislike is exactly different from your dislikes. So, why do you think that a different individual would be getting different levels of utility by consuming the same commodity? What can it be like this? So this is because, as I have already told you, there can be different people who would be having different likes and dislikes. For example, just take about the case of chocolate. There can be two sets of people who are there in our world. Those people who would be liking chocolate and those people who don't like chocolate, or who are not fond of chocolate, or there might be people who hate chocolates. If you give more chocolates to a person who love chocolates or who like chocolates, he would be very happy for that. Happy in the sense that he is getting something that he already likes. But what about if you give chocolate to a person who hates chocolate? And that is something which will not influence his utility or satisfaction, because you are giving something to a person that the person dislikes or hate. And also you can see that the utility that one individual gets from the commodity can change from one time to another time and one place to another place. I'm giving an example with respect to change in seasons. Okay, you need room heater, or you need heaters. Why do you need heaters? Because you need heater in order to protect you from winter. And do you think that we need heaters if you are in Ladakh? If you are in Ladakh, do you think that you need heaters? Yes, right. Because heater is a colder place. Sorry, Ladakh is a colder place. So if once you are in Ladakh, you need heater in order to protect you from winter. And what about Chennai? Chennai is a comparatively hotter place in India. The climate is a bit kind of summer-related climate. So since it is very much hotter in Chennai, you need you need to have some cold feeling, or you need to have some kind of soothing effect. And if you put heater along with the hot climate, it will definitely create a huge problem for you. So you need not have heaters in Chennai once you are in Chennai, and you need not need heater whenever it is summer, and you need heater when it is winter. Now, having given you an intro regarding the utility concept, let's deal with the two theories that would discuss the utility analysis. And the first theory is known as the cardinal utility analysis. And as per this cardinal utility analysis, it is assumed that the level of utility that you get from commodity, this is something that you can express in terms of numbers. That means that we can measure utility that you will be getting from a shirt. Okay, you just believe that you are going to the market and you are purchasing a shirt. Anyway, from the shirt that you purchase, you will be getting some utility. That is why you are going and purchasing the shirt. So just say that this shirt is giving you something like 50 units of utility. Just think about that, and think that is it possible to have some utility which, yeah, that you can derive from commodity, in terms of whether, and also think that whether this term is something that we can express in numbers. Next, having given you just the concept of cardinal utility analysis, let's deal with the measures of utility. And after understanding the measures of utility, we will try to understand more about the cardinal utility analysis. So the first measure here is known as the total utility, and the total utility is actually we always refer to the total utility of a fixed quantity of commodity, and we refer to it as TU, or this is a simple form of total utility. TU stands for total utility. TU is a short form of total utility. Let's consider that we are consuming commodity X, and what can be like the total utility of consumption of X. So it would be the total satisfaction that you would be getting by consuming a given amount of commodity X. That's it. And if you are given more of commodity X, that means that your total satisfaction to also increase. And for the same reason, we can say that the total quantity is something that would depend upon the quantity of the commodity that you consume. And the total utility by you consume n units of commodity X, this is something that is dependent upon the n units of commodity X that you consume. So TUN is a total utility which you would be getting from consuming n units of a commodity, and here it is X. Having understood the concept of total utility, let's see what is marginal utility. And marginal utility, or MU, this is a change in total utility. And why change in total utility is made? And this is due to the addition of one more unit of the commodity in your consumption basket, or in consumption. Yeah, I'll be giving you a simple example so as to make you familiar with the concept. Suppose you are given 4 bananas, okay, and these 4 bananas are giving you utility which is exactly equal to 28 units. And what would happen if you are given one more banana? So again, one more banana is given. Now the total bananas are 5, and this is giving you 30 units of total utility. and how can you find the marginal utility? That is a question. So here the fifth unit of banana has made some change in the total utility, and what is that change? Is equal to 30 units minus 28 units, which is exactly equal to 2. See, the marginal utility for obtaining the fifth banana is equal to total utility you from obtaining 5 bananas minus total utility of consuming 4 bananas is equal to 30 minus 28, which is equal to 2. So we can see that the marginal utility of consuming n commodities, n units of commodity would be equal to the total utility of consuming n commodity minus total utility of consuming n minus 1 unit of commodity. And the total utility can also be considered as a summation of marginal utility. What would be like the total utility of consuming n units of a commodity? So this would be like the marginal utility of consuming first unit, the marginal utility of consuming second units, the marginal utility of consuming the next unit, so on to the marginal utility of consuming nth unit. And that is why we are saying that if you go back to the example of banana, we can see that the total utility of consuming n unit of banana would be the sum of mu of first banana, which is mu1. Then you along with that you add mu of second banana, that is mu2, and so on till the utility of the nth unit. This is what is added. This is what is added here. Okay, here in this table you are given two concepts, actually three things are given. The first column shows you the units of the commodities that you consume. The second column shows the total utility that you will be getting from the consumption of commodity. Then the third column shows the marginal utility that you will be getting from the consumption of different units of commodity, right? So just look at the total utility column. You can see that the total utility is something that increases up to 24 units, that is up to 4th units it's increasing, and after 4 it is remaining constant, and then it is falling, it starts falling. What about the marginal utility case? The marginal utility is increasing throughout the 3rd unit. Sorry, it is falling. It is falling, right? It is not increasing. It is actually falling continuously, and this is what is happening to the marginal utility. The total utility initially it increases, then it becomes constant, and then it falls. But the marginal utility is something that would be declining continuously. That is what you can understand from the table. So the marginal utility, as we have seen in the table, this is something which would diminish continuously, and this would diminish with the increase in the consumption of the commodity. Once you move from the first unit of consumption to second unit of consumption, the mu would fall. Then if you move from second unit of consumption to third unit of consumption, mu would again fall. And this is because having obtained some amount of the commodity, the desire of the consumer to have still more of that commodity would become lesser and weaker. And total utility is something that would be increasing, but how it is increasing? We could see that it is increasing at a diminishing rate, and it is for the same reason the marginal utility will be declining continuously. And why is it happening? The rate of change in total utility due to change in the quantity of the commodity is actually a measure of marginal utility. That is what we have seen, because if you add all the marginal utilities, you will be getting the total utility, and the marginal utility would be diminishing with the increase in the consumption of commodity. And it was initially it was 12, then it went to 6, then it went to 4, and then it went to 0, then it went to -2. That is what is with respect to the marginal utility aspect. And we can find some explanation to this, and this is something which can be explained by what is known as the law of marginal utility. And what is this law of diminishing marginal utility say? It is actually known as the law of diminishing marginal utility. It says that the marginal utility which you get from the consumption of consuming an additional unit of a commodity, this is something that would decline when you increase the consumption. Yeah, you think that, you assume that the consumption of all other commodities are constant. So you can see that when your mu is 0, your tu becomes constant. And if you look at the fifth unit of consumption in the previous table, you can see that tu was not changing at the fifth unit, and therefore the mu, which was tun minus 1, that is 0 for the fifth unit, and tu would be starting to decline, and mu would become negative after that. Here what you can see is the graphical representation of the total utility and the marginal utility that we have seen in the table. You can see that the total utility curve, this is the total utility curve, the blue color, this is the total utility curve, and this is something that is increasing till this point. But what would happen after this point? At this point it is remaining constant, then it starts falling. And correspondingly, the marginal utility curve, this is like this, a negatively sloped line. So once the tu becomes constant, the marginal utility would become 0, and once tu starts falling, marginal utility would become negative. And this is the relationship between tu and mu. The values of the marginal and total utility derived from the consumption of various amounts of commodity, which you can see from this diagram or picture, would tell you the same. The marginal utility would be diminishing with the increase in the consumption of the commodity, and this is what you can see here. So that's all about today. You can like, share, and subscribe this channel for more videos, and you can be a part of my Telegram channel and Telegram group to discuss your doubt. I'll be soon back with the continuation of today's session. So you can wait till that. Thank you for watching.